Sam, I here, and I've got a different story to tell you. Yeah, I do. This one's called In the Night. The windshield wipers creaked and squeaked as they slid across the glass. Dean turned on his fog lights, but it didn't help. The mist was hard to see through. Dean furrowed his brow in concentration. He was afraid he might hit something. It wasn't long before Dean saw something out of the corner of his eye. He glanced to the left but saw nothing. It was late and Dean was tired. My eyes are just playing tricks on me is all, Dean told himself. Dean reached over and turned on the radio, but was welcomed by loud static. Dean quickly turned down the volume and tried to find a clear station. But everyone he came to was just static. A tower must be down or something, Dean said aloud to himself. Dean saw something flash by his car again, this time on the right side. That looked big. The mist turned to rain and Dean was getting nervous. Keep it together, Dean. You're almost home. Just a few more miles, Dean told himself. Then something hit the back of Dean's car. Dean slammed on his brakes and looked in the rearview mirror. Dean couldn't see anything in the red glow of his brake lights. Dean put the car in park and stepped out, slamming the door by accident. The rain was pouring down, so Dean pulled his jacket up over his head and walked briskly towards the back of his car. Dean stared in amazement. His whole bumper was gone. Dean let his jacket slide back down onto his shoulders. Dean turned and looked behind him to see if his bumper had fallen off. His car was quite old and it was falling apart on him. But missing the whole bumper was really odd. Dean took a few steps back the way he had driven, but there was no sign of his bumper. But he did see something. Dean kneeled down and pulled out his phone and turned on the flashlight function. Even with the rain coming down hard, Dean found blood all over the road leading into the woods just to the left of the road, just to the left. Dean was worried whatever it was ran across the road and took out his bumper and was now in the woods somewhere bleeding to death. But if it was bleeding to death, there wasn't anything he could do for a thing. Dean walked back to his car and got in. Just as Dean buckled himself in, something slammed into the side of his car, pushing it into the middle of the road. "What the hell?" shouted Dean as he looked around to see what it could have been that hit him. Dean stared into the darkness, hoping to see what it was. Crash! Dean's car was hit again, but from the other side this time, pushing Dean's car into the ditch. Dean was panicking. Dean was panicking. He was panicking awfully hard. His car was sliding down the ditch, and he couldn't do anything about it. Soon the car began to tip up, as if something was pushing it further down the ditch. Soon Dean was upside down and in the dark. Dean slowly moved his head and opened his eyes. It was still raining and his headlights had gone out, but there was something in front of his used-to-be windshield. It was massive and it moved, allowing the headlights to shine into the darkness once again. Dean's heart was pounding as the massive thing moved over towards the driver's side door. Dean didn't move or make a sound. Thunder rolled above, and a flash of lightning lit up the forest for only a few seconds, but it was long enough for Dean to see the thing was furry. Metal creaked and crunched as the thing grabbed the bottom of the car and began to move it around. Dean realized the thing was trying to drag his car further into the woods. Dean looked around for anything he could use, and the only thing he could reach for was his broken umbrella. The thing was panting with the effort of moving the car. Dean reached for the clip to the seatbelt, but as his luck would have it, it was stuck. Dean pulled on the clip and the belt, but it was no use. The thing stopped and just stood in one spot, breathing hard. Dean tried to be still and not make any noise, but he wanted to scream and he wanted to get away. The thing lowered itself down onto all fours and began to sniff the car. Panic was welling up inside him. The thing began to dig its claws into the metal, ripping the car apart. The car groaned and Dean shut his eyes. He didn't want to see whatever it was. He didn't want to see himself die. Dean was waiting for the thing to find him and eat him, but it never happened. Dean opened his eyes and looked around. The thing was gone and the rain stopped. Dean looked around frantically. The thing was nowhere to be seen. Dean listened hard and peered into the darkness, but nothing happened. Then Dean heard another car coming up the road. "Hey, help! Help me, please!" shouted Dean at the top of his lungs. He waited. The car stopped and he heard the door open. "I'm down here! Help!" yelled Dean, feeling some relief. Dean could hear a man making a call and saying the name of the road. Dean was beginning to breathe a little easier when he heard branches breaking. Dean looked into the darkness and saw something moving. Shit. The guy stopped talking and everything was silent until the guy started screaming. The screams were cut short and panic was overcoming Dean again. Suddenly, the driver's side door was ripped off the car and Dean was exposed to the outside and to the thing. But this time, there was two. One of them reached in and ripped Dean from his seat and lifted him high in the air. The last thing Dean saw was a massive black head and hundreds of teeth. Then everything went dark. About 20 minutes later, a police car pulls up to the side of the road next to a nice-looking Jeep. Two officers step out of the patrol car and look down the ditch. Blood was everywhere and they both looked into the woods. "Looks like they wanted a midnight snack," said one of the officers jokingly. "Yep, that's what it looks like. Call Dr. White. Call Dr. White. He has a bother of a mess to clean up." The other officer reached for his phone just as a massive black shape jumped across the road, grabbing both officers. And that is it. That is In the Night. And this is Sammy Yammy, and I'm signing off for the day. See you guys later.